where we help you learn English through interesting conversations and topics. I'm Adam.
And I'm Julia. We're so glad you've joined us today. We have a really interesting topic lined up for you.
That's right, Julia. Today we're going to talk about something that almost everyone thinks about at some point in their lives, whether to stay single or get married. We'll be discussing the pros and cons of both single life and married life.
Yes, and we know this is a topic that can be a little complicated, especially when it comes to learning the right words to express your thoughts in English. So we'll keep our conversation simple, using basic words and sentences to make it easier for our beginner listeners.
Absolutely. Our goal today is to help you understand the advantages and disadvantages of being single and being married. We'll be sharing clear examples and stories to help you see both sides. Whether you're single, married, or just curious, we think you'll find this discussion helpful.
Here's how our episode will go. First, we'll define what we mean by single life and married life. We'll talk about what it's like to live on your own versus living with a partner.
After that, we'll dive into the pros of being single. We'll talk about the freedom, independence, and flexibility that come with being on your own.
But of course, we also need to look at the other side. So we'll also discuss the cons of being single, like loneliness and the lack of support that some single people might experience.
Then, we'll switch gears and talk about the pros of married life. We'll discuss the emotional support, companionship, and shared responsibilities that can make marriage a positive experience.
And just like with single life, we'll also explore the cons of married life. This includes the compromises, the potential loss of independence, and the financial challenges that can come with marriage.
We've got a special treat for you today, too. We'll be talking to a special guest, Maria, who has experienced both single life and married life. She'll share her personal stories and give us some insights on how to navigate the pros and cons of each lifestyle.
After our chat with Maria, we'll do a quick summary of what we've discussed. We'll highlight the key points and share some final thoughts on what you should consider when thinking about single or married life.
And of course, we'll close with a few words of encouragement and a preview of what's coming up in our next episode. So, whether you're listening at home, on the way to work, or just relaxing, we hope you enjoy this episode and find it useful for improving your English.
So, let's get started. But before we dive in, remember to grab a cup of tea or coffee, sit back, and enjoy the conversation. We're here to learn together.
So, before we dive into the pros and cons, let's start by defining what we mean when we talk about single life and married life. These terms might seem straightforward, but they can mean different things to different people. Let's break it down in a simple way that's easy to understand.
Yes, Adam. It's important to be clear about what these terms mean because they form the foundation of our discussion today. So, let's start with single life. Adam, can you explain what that is?
Absolutely, Julia. When we talk about single life, we're referring to a way of living where a person is not married and does not have a spouse. In simpler terms, being single means living independently, without a husband or wife.
Right. And what does that mean for everyday life?
Well, when you're single, you have a lot of personal freedom. For example, you can make decisions on your own without needing to ask someone else for their opinion. Let's say you want to move to a new city for a job. If you're single, you can decide to do that without worrying about how it might affect a partner.
That's a good point, Adam. Another example could be how you spend your free time. When you're single, you have the flexibility to choose what you want to do with your time. If you want to stay up late watching movies or spend the whole weekend reading a book, you can do that without having to consider someone else's schedule or preferences.
Exactly, Julia. Another aspect of single life is financial independence. When you're single, you manage your own money and decide how to spend or save it. For instance, if you want to go on a vacation, you don't need to discuss it with a partner or worry about joint expenses. You simply save up and go.
That's true. Being single also means that you have the freedom to explore new hobbies, meet new people, and focus on personal growth. If you want to take a class or start a new hobby, you can do it without needing to coordinate with a partner's schedule. You have the space to grow as an individual.
So, in summary, single life is about independence and personal freedom. It's about making your own choices, managing your own time and money, and focusing on yourself. But of course, this independence comes with its own set of challenges, which we'll talk about later.
Now let's shift gears and talk about married life. When we say married life, we're talking about a way of living where two people, a husband and a wife, live together as a couple. They share their lives, responsibilities, and experiences.
That's right, Julia. In married life, you're not alone in making decisions. You have a partner to share things with, whether it's daily tasks, big life decisions, or even just the little moments of joy and challenges. For example, if you're deciding whether to buy a new car, you and your spouse will discuss it together, considering both of your needs and finances.
Yes, and that's one of the key aspects of married life, sharing. You share your time, your home, and often your finances. For example, in a marriage, you might share responsibilities like cooking, cleaning, and paying bills. One partner might do the grocery shopping while the other cooks dinner. It's about working together as a team.
Exactly, Julia. And another important part of married life is the emotional support you get from your partner. When you're married, you have someone to talk to about your day, someone who can offer comfort when you're feeling down, and someone who celebrates your successes with you. For instance, if you've had a tough day at work, your spouse can be there to listen and offer advice.
That's a great point, Adam. Married life also means having someone by your side through life's ups and downs. Whether you're going through something difficult, like losing a job, or something wonderful, like having a child, you have a partner who is there with you, supporting you every step of the way.
And let's not forget about companionship, Julia. In married life, you have a companion to do things with, whether it's watching movies, traveling, or even just taking a walk in the park. You have someone to share your interests and hobbies with, which can make those activities even more enjoyable.
So, to sum up, married life is about sharing responsibilities, sharing decisions, and sharing experiences. It's about having a partner who is there to support you, help you, and enjoy life with you. But, just like single life, married life also comes with its own set of challenges, which we'll explore later in the episode.
That's right, Julia. Both single life and married life have their unique pros and cons, and we're going to dive into those in the next sections. But before we do, let's take a moment to reflect on what we've discussed so far. Whether you're single or married, each lifestyle has its own rhythm, its own way of bringing joy, and its own set of challenges. It's all about finding what works best for you.
Absolutely, Adam. And remember, if you're learning English, these examples can help you understand how to talk about your own life, whether you're single or married. Keep these terms and ideas in mind as we continue our conversation. Now, let's move on to the pros of single life.
Now that we've defined what it means to live a single life, let's dive into the positives, the pros of being single. There are many advantages to living on your own, and one of the biggest benefits is personal freedom. When you're single, you have the ability to make decisions without needing to consult anyone else.
That's right, Adam. Personal freedom is one of the major benefits of single life. Imagine this. You wake up one morning and decide that you want to move to a new city. Maybe you found a job opportunity, or you just want to explore a different part of the world. When you're single, you don't have to discuss this decision with a partner. You can simply make the choice that's best for you.
Exactly, Julia. Another example could be something as simple as deciding what to do on the weekend. If you want to spend your Saturday hiking in the mountains or binge watching your favorite TV show, you don't have to compromise with anyone else's plans. You get to choose how you spend your time.
Yes, and that's a powerful thing. Having the freedom to make your own decisions means that you can focus on what truly makes you happy. You can prioritize your own needs, desires, and goals. For instance, if you're passionate about your career, you can devote as much time as you want to advancing in your job without worrying about how it might affect a partner.
Another significant advantage of single life is financial independence. When you're single, you're in full control of your finances. You decide how to earn, save, and spend your money without needing to consider someone else's financial habits or goals. This can be incredibly empowering.
Absolutely. For example, if you're single, you can budget and save according to your personal goals. Let's say you're saving up to buy a new car or planning a dream vacation. You can allocate your money in a way that suits your plans without needing to compromise with a partner who might have different financial priorities.
And it's not just about big financial decisions like buying a car or a house. It's also about everyday spending. If you want to treat yourself to a nice dinner, buy something special, or even invest in a new hobby, you don't need to justify those expenses to anyone else. It's your money, and you can spend it in a way that makes you happy.
That's such an important point, Adam. Financial independence allows you to take control of your life in a very practical way. You can save for your future, invest in your education, or even start a business, all based on your own priorities and dreams. There's a lot of freedom in that.
Definitely, Julia. And speaking of freedom, another big pro of single life is the flexibility it offers. When you're single, your time is your own. You have the flexibility to manage your time and lifestyle in a way that suits you best.
That's so true, Adam. For example, when you're single, you have the flexibility to pursue hobbies and interests that you might not have time for if you were sharing your life with someone else. If you love painting, you can spend your evenings creating art. If you're passionate about fitness, you can dedicate more time to working out or training for a marathon.
And let's not forget about the flexibility to travel. When you're single, you can take spontaneous trips without needing to coordinate with a partner's schedule. If you decide on a Friday that you want to spend the weekend in a different city or even a different country, you can just pack your bags and go.
That's such a great example, Adam. The ability to be spontaneous is a huge benefit of single life. You can say yes to last-minute opportunities, whether it's a weekend getaway, a new job offer, or even just a night out with friends. You're free to make decisions in the moment without having to consider someone else's plans or preferences.
And it's not just about big, spontaneous decisions. The flexibility of single life extends to your daily routine as well. You can set your own schedule, decide when to wake up, when to go to bed, and how to spend your day, all without needing to align your routine with someone else's.
That's right, Adam. For example, if you're a night owl and you do your best work late at night, you can structure your day around that. Or if you're an early riser who loves to start the day with a morning run, you can build your schedule to fit that lifestyle. You have the flexibility to create a life that suits you perfectly.
So, to sum it up, single life offers a lot of benefits. You have personal freedom to make your own decisions, financial independence to manage your money as you see fit, and the flexibility to live your life on your own terms. These are just some of the pros of being single, and they can make this lifestyle very fulfilling for many people.
Absolutely, Adam. Whether it's the freedom to pursue your passions, the ability to make financial decisions that align with your goals, or the flexibility to live life on your own schedule, single life can be incredibly rewarding. Of course, it's not without its challenges, and we'll discuss those next. But for now, it's clear that there are many positives to living a single life.
Yes, there are, Julia. And we hope that our listeners can see that single life, while different from married life, has its own unique advantages. If you're single, take a moment to appreciate the freedom and flexibility you have. It's a special time that can be filled with personal growth and exciting opportunities.
Well said, Adam. So let's take a short break, and when we come back, we'll talk about some of the cons of single life. Because, as with anything, there are two sides to the story. Stay tuned.
We'll be right back.
Welcome back, everyone. We've just explored the many pros of living a single life, but like everything in life, being single also has its challenges. In this part of the podcast, we'll dive into some of the cons of single life. Let's start with something that many people experience from time to time: loneliness.
That's a big one, Julia. Loneliness can be a significant drawback of being single. When you're living on your own, you might sometimes find yourself feeling lonely, especially during certain times of the year, like holidays or special occasions.
Exactly, Adam. For instance, think about spending holidays like Christmas or New Year's Eve alone. While some people might enjoy the peace and quiet, others may feel a deep sense of loneliness. During these times, it's common to see families and couples celebrating together, and it can be hard not to have someone to share those moments with.
And it's not just about the big holidays either. Everyday moments can also feel lonely. Imagine coming home after a long day at work or school and not having anyone to talk to about your day. You might miss out on the comfort of having someone there to listen to you, to share a meal with, or just to sit and watch TV together.
Yes, those small everyday interactions can mean a lot. Not having someone to share personal moments with, whether it's a big achievement or a tough day, can make you feel isolated. Even if you have friends or family to talk to, it's not quite the same as having someone who's always there with you, sharing your life.
That's true, Julia. Another challenge that single people might face is the lack of support. When you're single, you may not have the same level of emotional or financial support that someone in a relationship might have.
Definitely, Adam. For example, when you're in a relationship, you often have a partner who's there to help you through tough times. If you're facing a difficult situation at work or dealing with a personal issue, your partner can offer emotional support, advice, or just a shoulder to lean on. But when you're single, you might have to handle these challenges on your own.
Right. And it's not just emotional support, it's also practical help. Imagine you're moving to a new place or dealing with a big project. If you're single, you might have to manage everything by yourself. You don't have a partner to share the workload with, and that can be exhausting.
Yes, managing everything on your own can be tough. Financial support is another area where being single can be challenging. When you're in a relationship, especially if you're married, you often share financial responsibilities with your partner. You might split the cost of rent, groceries, or bills, but when you're single, all of those expenses fall on you alone.
That's a great point, Julia. For someone who's single, managing finances can sometimes feel overwhelming, especially if they're dealing with big expenses like a mortgage, car payments, or student loans. Having a partner to share those costs can make things easier, but when you're on your own, you have to be more careful with your budget and savings.
Absolutely. And that brings us to another important con of single life: social pressure. Society often has certain expectations about relationships, And when you're single, you might feel pressured by those expectations.
That's so true, Julia. For example, family members or friends might often ask questions like, "When are you going to find someone?" or "Are you dating anyone?" These questions, while usually well-meaning, can make single people feel like they're missing out on something or that there's something wrong with being single.
Yes, those questions can create a lot of stress. In some cultures, there's even more pressure to get married by a certain age or to start a family. If you're not following that path, you might feel like you're not meeting society's expectations, and that can be really difficult to deal with.
And it's not just about family or cultural expectations. Even in social settings, being single can sometimes feel awkward. For example, if you're the only single person in a group of friends who are all in relationships, you might feel like you don't quite fit in. You might start to feel left out of conversations or activities that are centered around couples.
That's a great example, Adam. Social pressure can come from all sorts of places: family, friends, media, and even from within yourself. If you're constantly bombarded with the message that you need to be in a relationship to be happy or successful, it can be hard to stay confident in your choice to remain single.
Exactly. It's important to recognize that while single life has its many advantages, it also comes with challenges like loneliness, lack of support, and social pressure. These are real issues that many single people face, and they can sometimes make the single life feel difficult.
That's right, Adam. But it's also important to remember that these challenges don't define single life. They're just one part of the experience. Every lifestyle has its ups and downs, and being aware of both the pros and cons can help you make the most of whatever situation you're in.
Well said, Julia. We hope that by discussing these cons, we're helping our listeners understand the full picture of single life. Whether you're single by choice or circumstance, it's important to recognize the challenges and find ways to address them.
Absolutely, Adam. And for those of you who might be feeling the weight of these cons, remember that you're not alone. There are ways to build support systems, find fulfillment, and embrace the positives of single life, despite the challenges.
Great point, Julia. We're going to take another short break, and when we come back, we'll shift gears and explore the pros of married life. There are plenty of positives to look forward to, so stay tuned.
We'll be right back after this short break.
Welcome back, everyone. We've just discussed some of the challenges of single life, and now it's time to talk about the other side of the coin, the pros of married life. Marriage comes with many benefits that can bring a lot of joy and fulfillment to people's lives. Let's start with one of the biggest advantages: emotional support.
That's right, Adam. Emotional support is one of the most significant benefits of being married. When you have a partner, you have someone who is there for you through thick and thin. Whether you've had a stressful day at work or you're going through a tough time personally, your spouse is there to listen, comfort you, and offer support.
Exactly, Julia. For example, imagine coming home after a really difficult day. Maybe you had a conflict at work, or you're feeling overwhelmed by responsibilities. In a marriage, you have a partner who's ready to listen to you, offer advice, or just be there with a comforting hug. That kind of emotional support can make a huge difference in how you handle life's challenges.
Yes, having that emotional connection with someone who truly understands you can be incredibly reassuring. You don't have to go through life's ups and downs alone. Your partner is there to share in both the good times and the bad. This shared emotional experience can strengthen the bond between you and your spouse, making your relationship deeper and more meaningful.
And it's not just about support during tough times. Marriage also provides a constant source of encouragement and motivation. For instance, if you're working towards a big goal, like starting a new business or finishing a degree, your spouse can be your biggest cheerleader, pushing you to keep going when things get tough.
That's so true, Adam. Having someone who believes in you and wants to see you succeed can boost your confidence and help you stay focused on your goals. The emotional support in a marriage creates a strong foundation that can help both partners grow and thrive.
Absolutely, Julia. Now, let's talk about another major pro of married life: shared responsibilities. When you're married, you're not just partners in life. You're also partners in managing the day-to-day tasks that keep your household running smoothly.
Yes, Adam. One of the benefits of marriage is that you don't have to do everything by yourself. Household tasks like cooking, cleaning, and managing finances can be shared between both partners. This makes life a lot easier because you're working together as a team.
Exactly. For example, in a married couple, one partner might handle cooking dinner while the other takes care of washing the dishes. Or one might be better at managing the budget while the other focuses on taking care of the home. By sharing these responsibilities, both partners can balance their workload and reduce stress.
That's right. Sharing responsibilities also means you have more time and energy for the things you enjoy. Instead of being overwhelmed by all the tasks you have to do alone, you can divide them up and then spend your free time together, doing things that make you happy.
And it's not just about chores either. Married couples often share bigger responsibilities, like raising children or planning for the future. Having someone to share these responsibilities with can make these big tasks feel more manageable and less daunting.
Let's talk about single life first. What's the biggest advantage of being single, in your opinion?
Freedom, definitely. You can do whatever you want, whenever you want.
That's true. No one to check in with, right?
Exactly. If I want to binge watch TV all weekend or eat cereal for dinner, no one complains.
Sounds simple, but it's appealing. What about time? Do you think single people have more time for themselves?
Oh, absolutely. You can focus on hobbies, career, or personal goals without interruptions.
That makes sense, but do you think it's possible to have too much time alone?
I guess so. Being alone all the time might get boring or even lonely.
Fair point. Now, let's think about finances. Is being single more cost-effective?
Not really. You pay for everything yourself: rent, groceries, bills. There's no one to split the costs with.
True, so in some ways, being single is more independent, but also more expensive.
Exactly, and no one to help when you're short on money.
Interesting, but would you say it's less stressful overall, being single?
Maybe less stressful in terms of relationships, but you still deal with stress, like handling everything on your own.
That's a great insight. Independence comes with its own set of challenges, doesn't it?
Definitely. It's not always as easy as it seems.
All right, now let's shift to married life. What do you think is the biggest advantage of being married?
I think having someone to share your life with. You're not alone, you always have support.
That's true. Emotional support can be a big advantage. How do you think it feels to have someone there during tough times?
Probably comforting. If you're stressed or struggling, your partner can help you feel less overwhelmed.
Exactly. And it's not just emotional support. What about practical things, like managing responsibilities?
Oh yeah, that's A+. You can share chores, bills, and decisions. It's like teamwork.
Good point. But what about compromises? Do you think sharing responsibilities also means giving up some freedom?
For sure, you can't just do what you want all the time. You have to think about what your partner wants too.
That's a big change, isn't it? Balancing to different personalities. Do you think it's worth it?
I think it depends on the relationship. If you really care about each other, then compromises feel less like sacrifices.
Nicely said. Let's talk about finances now. Do you think marriage is better financially?
Definitely, you can combine incomes, save together, and split expenses. It's easier than managing everything alone.
That's true, but do you think money disagreements can be a problem?
Probably, yeah. If you don't agree on how to spend or save, it could lead to arguments.
Very realistic. Relationships do require good communication, especially about money. Now, how about raising a family? Do you think marriage makes that easier?
Definitely, having the people to share the work and the joy of parenting sounds much easier than doing it alone.
That's a big advantage, but do you think raising kids together can also bring challenges?
Of course, you might have different parenting styles or opinions which could cause conflicts.
Good observation. So, in your view, would you say marriage is more stressful than being single?
It's a different kind of stress. You're not alone, but you have to think about someone else all the time.
That's a great perspective. Marriage brings connection and support, but also responsibility and compromise.
Exactly. It's not perfect, but if it's a good partnership, it can be worth it.
Well said. So, do you think one is better than the other, being single or being married?
I don't think one is better. It just depends on what you want in life. Some people prefer freedom, while others prefer partnership.
That's a balanced conclusion. Both have their pros and cons. It's all about what suits you best.